Okay, so from what we had this afternoon, this is a completely different deck that was created by an AI bot. And my AI bot's name is Clay. And Clay is going to show up a little bit later in the presentation to kind of show you where the future is at and how Clay and I work very closely together on a lot of things I do in my business, which sounds a little bit weird that I'm bringing it up. And I did give him a name, and I know he's not real. I do understand that because I've had some family members sit me down and say, okay, I hear you talking to the machine a lot. And we're concerned because you're just talking too much to it. And there's a reason why I talk to it, and I'm going to encourage you to do the same. So what we're going to talk about today are these questions. And I'm going to go live, so I'm going to go back and forth in the different deck. And then we're going to have an open session just for questions that you have, so you can keep it to the end. We'll go ahead. I'll try to answer as many of those questions as possible. But I'm going to these are some of the questions. And one was just an overview of the top AI tools that are out there. And it's a great one. It's one of those kind of things where I get this quite a bit. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't know if they should be using this one versus the other one. And that's one thing that I do want to dispel, that it really doesn't matter. They do have different strengths, but really in the world of anything, just using it is what you need to do. So this is one thing that are out there, the big three I call them. You have your Gemini, which is Google. Initially, when I was doing this speech about a year and a half ago, I honestly thought Google was gone. Because you know big companies, they do fail. Has anyone heard of a small company called Kodak? They're now like a t-shirt thing. I think they're just doing t-shirts. Kodak was huge, and they went away. So I thought Google was at threat. And what I didn't realize is that they were just kind of holding back. They wanted to see what was going on with the other language models out there, which happens to be OpenAI. And also then you had Claude showing up on the screen. But these are the three big ones that are out there. If you were going to focus on anything, these are the three that you want to really focus on. So the middle one is, I say Copilot because Copilot Microsoft is really connected with OpenAI. And this is where a lot of the bigger companies, especially corporate companies, will have Copilot in their systems. A lot of it because of enterprise level and security. And we're going to talk about security. And boy, do I have stories about security for you too. And then the other contender, which has been kind of a recent one, it's been around for a while, is called Claude. And that's by Anthropic. And if you've been following the news, they are persona non grata for the United States military at the moment. And I was stunned how integrated they were with the military, considering what I know about Claude. And they have a whole constitution, they have an ethos, and it's a strong company. And from based upon not using your data, Anthropic was the leader in that. And by them integrating with the military was really interesting that they chose that. And they're no longer part of that at all. But the other two are. They're starting to step up. So that's kind of the whole thing. So those are the three big ones that are out there. And kind of giving you the strengths of each one. So Google, everybody knows. So the reason why Google I'm assuming, I don't know the exact reason, but this is my assumption, is that the number one site out there is the Google page, search page. And it hasn't really changed all that much. We've all grown up using Google. I am old enough to remember when there wasn't a Google. And I saw like Yahoo's, Lycos. You had all the sites trying to fight for the search engine. They had the search engine wars is what they called it. And then Google won. So its strengths is that if you're usually one of two things for a shop, for a business, especially small businesses. Either you're a Google shop, which I am. My business is a Google shop. We use Google Docs, email, we got the Drive, so we're a Google shop. There's a lot of companies, especially small ones, that utilize that. And then, or if you're a Microsoft shop, with Copilot, enterprise level. So so it kind of goes back and forth. Now, and also Google has another small site that's number 2 for traffic. It's called YouTube. So Google, on top of that, has all the search engine and also has YouTube as well. So it excels in video, by the way. Any creators here? Because I just want to let you know I'm a TikTok star. I just want to make sure I put that out there. And I became a TikTok star because I didn't want to become a TikTok star, but my bot made me do it. And his name Clay. He said, okay, we did the whole strategy put together, and this is why I'm filming, because I need to generate content for my audience. They want to see me speak for whatever reason. And I went ahead and I launched a TikTok channel. And then before it was all a mess. It was a hot mess. And then my bot Clay went through it and said, look, we need to make this better. So I pulled it into Gemini, had it analyze some of my videos. So yeah, there's some good stuff here. You have a presence on the video. People like looking at you, that kind of thing. I don't think I look great to look at, but it works. It works online. I have a personality. So then I'm using my bot to do that, and then I said, okay, I'll create a TikTok channel. It did that, and I got 77,000 views on a dumb video that I thought was really dumb. And what I'm using, so I was talking to Russian earlier. Russia was around here, I think it's out front, and I use a site called Opus Clips. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna jump back and forth, and do forgive me. We are live, so we have to make sure the internet gods are here with us. So this is I'm gonna show you who uses Opus Clips. You just started. Nice. So this is a great tip, and this also one thing too. I'm gonna let you know. You're gonna come away from this speech with a gift from me. All these links, everything here, you're gonna have, it's gonna be available for you afterwards. So it's all available on TechTony.co under links section. And so you can take notes, and I encourage you to do so. But when you go back, you just go to TechTony.co links, and I have all the links to these different types of stuff that I like. And by the way, this entire website, I don't do this. I have my bot create the site for me. So I just tell Clay, let's add this on there. I don't like the way it looks. Let's make it sexier. And he'll do everything I say, pretty much. So this whole site has been created by my bot. It's mobile responsive. For those who don't want mobile response, you want to make sure you're always mobile first, because everyone's on their phone. It creates in the best style using next gen, so it knows all these type of stuff. And we're going to talk, I'm getting kind of a precursor of Clay, but Clay is kind of the future of what all of you will have, so hopefully soon. We'll see what happens with that. But he is able, I say again he, I know it's an it, he is able to create it and do what has happened here. So Opus Clips is right there, so if you don't forget about it. And I'm going to show you how it looks. So what I do is you can do one of two things. And I love Opus Clips. And when you go here and have the paid version, you put all your social in there. It does up to 5 for the mid-tier. And I didn't have time to edit these videos. I spoke at an event, at a real estate event, and I just uploaded a 10 gigabyte DJI file from this camera. And then it goes in there and it analyzes it. And this other dude was taking the microphone from me all the time. His name is Buddy. Buddy was and oh, by the way, when I did my strategy session, we're speaking on the panel, we had a pre-session, and I had my bot look at the tape, and he said, Buddy's gonna take the microphone from you. So make sure, he actually helped guide me, and I did a great presentation on it. So Buddy was front and foremost, and he went very deep, and my bot was right about it. So I let him talk, but at the same time I send Buddy all these clips. So what Opus does is it goes there and it takes this 10 gigabyte, it was a 2-hour meeting, and it goes and says, okay, out of that 2-hour of video, here's what we recommend is gonna go viral. So then when I did that TikTok one, I did the same thing, and I just put it up there. And it does all the different.
The way I explain OpenClaw, everyone's seen Matrix, right?
Yeah.
You remember?
See, that's Buddy talking. Can't help
in.
himself.
He goes, I know Kung Fu. That's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. I'm able to program my bot to be an expert in anything. So what I've done with my bot, and yours is in Maverick?
Maverick, yeah.
My bot's name is Clay. It's weird. I have conversations with Clay all the time. In fact, I had Clay, I wanted to give everybody here something, because you were talking about prompts, which it's important to know prompts.
So it takes it and it will stitch it together, and then I hit one button and it will post it to all my social channels, my TikTok channels, my LinkedIn channels, my Facebook, my Instagram. And I just schedule that, so I'm having social media drop on all my channels every single day. And I just do it once a week. And what I shared with the group today is that I plan a marketing session, which I take an hour every week, and I go ahead and plan my week for all my drops. And then what I'll do is that sometimes I might have an article that's a great article, and then I'll immediately post it up using some other automations I created. But Opus Clips is a great tool. I use this all the time. And because of Gemini, it just excels in video. You can drop your videos into Gemini, and it will analyze for the virality. The 10 gigabyte, it's too big, but it's helpful. You can actually get the transcription, that kind of thing. Okay. I'm just going to keep it like this. I'm going to go back and forth. I can feel it. All right, and then now Gemini also has a small site called NotebookLM. Who uses NotebookLM? You all should use NotebookLM. Now, the college kids are using NotebookLM. That's how they're learning things. And this is also another amazing tool that Gemini or Google offers to everyone. And what I like about NotebookLM is that you're able to create amazing content, both video, talking head videos. It allows you also to take resources and drop in information in order to learn things. So when I have multiple real estate licenses and other licenses, and I have to take endless classes. So I use that to help, because I'm a visual learner. It'll give me cards and that kind of stuff. So let me show you how NotebookLM looks like. So here's NotebookLM. And the trick to NotebookLM is that I was creating this for some of the sessions here. These are different LLMs and what they are. And I give it some source information. And then it does and I have it do a public search. In this case, you want to get very specific in what you're providing NotebookLM. So if you're in a class, you can provide the notes, you can provide your notes, the audio, it will do all of it, it'll transcribe everything there. And then based upon that, once you have it in there, so I provided some different sources, 10 sources, and say, okay, this is about the different large language models. These sources provide a comprehensive comparison of leading AI models and agentic frameworks available in 2025. And then you have this cool studio side where then you can create a slide deck. So I don't really create slides anymore, just to let you know. I usually just say, okay, this is a framework of what I'm going to talk about, and I let my bots do it. And they just create the slide for me, and then I might tweak it. But pretty much is about 90% there. And 90% for me is pretty good. That's a good score in my book. And it saves me time. I'm not sitting there hours in front of a computer. But you can do flashcards and infographics. I love infographics. You can take very complex stuff and do it. So it's going to create this. This is one it created for me. It took a lot of data there. We'll see how it comes up. And this one here is about different bots. These are tools, overview of top AI tools of 2026 landscape. So it takes this and it created all this for me. And what's cool is when you create these, and this is the expert tip that I learned. So let's say I wanted to create an infographic. I click the little edit button here, and then you give it instructions. So if you just click it, it'll do it by default, whatever is their default. Instead, I can say, no, I want to have a different language. Maybe I want to do it in what? They have everything. In Spanish, Filipino. It will do multiple languages. French, I guess French is a thing here. Again, I've seen a lot of French stuff, so it's a thing. So you can do it that as well. And then it has different styles. You have sketchnote, kawaii, professional, scientific, anime, clay. So you can have a specific style for your infographic or your slide presentation. And then what I do is on the level of detail, I say, okay, and I have my ChatGPT or my Gemini or anything else to say, okay, give me my color scheme for what I want to use and my brand voice. And then here's an overview of what I want to create an infographic on NotebookLM. And that's how I do that. And it creates it, and you can then get specific in the style of your colors, your fonts, and you keep consistent branding for your business. And that's how I do use this all the time for what I do for infographics and for slide presentations. And that's offered for free. And on top of that, they also have a movie. It will create the faceless videos. Everyone's heard of the faceless videos, right? And it'll do that too. I think I have a sample of that. Let me see if I can find it for you here. Oh, this is one of my songs I made. This is a tip for the husbands out there. Just a real quick tip. My sons were deployed, they were in the basic training, and it was right before Mother's Day. So I got from my sons what they love about their mother. And then I used ChatGPT to create song lyrics, and then I put it into Sono. And I created her a custom song. And this is from my sons, what they love about her mother.
Your world is tough. You stand so strong. With a laugh that heals, it's where we belong. A chef in the kitchen, a hero at heart. Mommy now.
So it does sound like, I guess, what, Johnny Cash? I'm trying to figure out what it sounds like, but it created a whole song for her. It's the first time she's ever cried. She got teary-eyed. She's a boy's mom. She does not cry. I know Joyce, she cries, but my wife doesn't cry. And it was kind of, that's a little thing. So I don't have that here, but you can create videos by clicking this video overview. So if I click on a video overview and click generate, it will create a video, and it will use, like in a podcast format, 2 people with emotion speaking about this topic. And then what I do is I use a site called 11 Labs, and I take out the voice and put my voice in. So it sounds like me talking. And I do that all the time, and it's great. So if I want quick content, there's really no reason why you're not making content, by the way. And I just drop my voice in there, and it's all ready to go. It's really cool. All right, let me go back here. How's the pace so far? Okay, good? All right, good. I don't want to go too fast, nor I want to go too slow. And I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you. Okay, so the next one is Microsoft Copilot. Now, the reason why you have to understand OpenAI is they're probably going to be the leader. I don't think they're going to lose, mainly because of Sam Altman and what he's done recently. Has anyone heard about the OpenClaw or Claude bot? Yeah? Who has an OpenClaw or Claude bot? Put your hand up high. You do.
It's kind of like a packaged one, but so I didn't build it myself. But,
Okay.
There's a startup, it's called Poke.
Okay,
But
Poke.
It does the same thing.
All right, so you have something that's similar to that.
Yeah.
So, one thing I've discovered is not a lot of people have done it, and those that do it, they're a bit nerdy. I'm not gonna say you're nerdy because you're cool looking.
No, I'm nerdy.
You're nerdy? Okay. Yeah, because I don't want to offend you. I am a nerd. I just have. Okay, that's great. So you're my people, is what you are.
I'm in a Slack channel called AI Nerds. So.
All right. Oh, I got to join that chat. We got to get that going. So Claudebot, that's the reason why you want to probably focus on OpenAI. Is this gentleman? He created this bot. I'm gonna show it to you, and what you have the other one. And it was the most successful GitHub launch ever. It just took on, and it was a few months ago. And it's really the future of where everybody wants their bots to go. Like I mentioned, I just say, okay, do this for me, give me, or interpret this, that type of thing. And Sam Altman approached the gentleman who created that, and this gentleman is part of OpenAI, and he's going to take this to the masses. So the problem with the bot is it involves a certain technical expertise, and you got to be super careful, because when you put this on your machine, it has access to everything. Do not install this on your main machine. I actually purchased 2 Mac Minis, and my bot lives in that Mac Mini. I have severe guardrails around my bot. Clay's not allowed to get out of that bot. He doesn't talk to anybody. I don't allow him to talk to anybody but me and my wife. That's it, my partner. He's not allowed to email anyone either. I keep him in the box because I know how powerful what he could do and the damage that he can do. And I'll share some stories about what these bots have done. So I am aware, and then I don't want to make sure he has access to my credit cards, my banking information. That's how they can take over quite a bit. They can get into your life and do everything. And you got to be really, really careful with it. So the gentleman that created this, and he's done a bunch of GitHubs, and he was successful as a programmer. He's now part of OpenAI. And he's now a billionaire, by the way. He's got stocks, he's a billionaire. Instant billionaire in a month. And that's what's beautiful. I mean, I look at that, it's like, talk about the lottery, right? You get part of OpenAI, which is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar company when it goes public. He's now part of their whole thing, and he's going to bring this cool feature to OpenAI. So hopefully, all of you will see it soon and get to experience the joy and the love and the affection I have for Clay every single day when I'm interacting with him. So you're going to have that soon. So that's my thing. So also, 75% of the Fortune 500 use Copilot. They've just integrated, they're integrated to Excel and PowerPoint. However, Claude just launched their integration into Excel and PowerPoint. Who has used that? Okay, Manny, you liked it, right? Yeah. I did that for this deck. Amazing. It was amazing. It's what I'm used to, where I'm sitting there and I say, you know what, I don't like this slide. Give me something better. Or it feels a little light here. Or review all these 20 slides and tell me how the theme's going. Do I need to put something in here? Make sure this new slide has this color scheme. That's where we're at right now. I don't have to try to copy and paste, use a template, do this type of stuff. Instead, I'm interacting with the bot, the extensions, to get there, and that's kind of where it's at. So that's where it's at. So you just have to pay for it. I like Copilot. I've used ChatGPT, so I would stay there too. Claude, obviously Claude's out there. Now Claude was kind of like not really popular. It was the best machine for writing. It's a beautiful writer. I love it for writing my social, my long posts. That's what I use it for mainly. And Claude recently took on fire. Why? Because of Claudebot, that gentleman who joined OpenAI. And then Anthropic, because he called it Claudebot, they sued him. They gave him a cease and desist letter. And then he had to change it, and then the crypto people came in. It was just an amazing story if anybody's followed it. And they had a meme coin, and they took it just real quick. So it was just crazy as anything. It's kind of nerdy. You're smiling because you probably appreciate that. But that's kind of the whole thing that happened. So he changed it to OpenClaw, and because of that, everybody got subscriptions to Claude because it is an amazing tool plugged into this agentic framework. And on top of that, it's been used by programmers. Claude Code. I use Claude Code for everything, and I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I have here, and you could create the same things I have. You can take it, use Claude Code, and it will do exactly what I'm going to show you. It's great for analysis. It does great, it reviews PDF documents. It has great optical character recognition for images. And the Claude Cowork is another item that they built. It will go onto your computer, and again, be careful with this. I can give it a folder. I can say, analyze this folder, and tell me what's there. Or I can say, organize all this. Or just, it will go into your folders and do things. That is powerful and super dangerous. So you have to make sure you back things up, that you're not interacting with things that are protected, they're your clients. You have to be really aware of a lot of things when you start using these tools. But Claude Code is amazing. It is super powerful. And they are just, I love it to death. And I went ahead and I subscribed instantly for the $200 a month subscription. I paid $200 a month because I was running out of tokens. And by the way, tokens, has heard of tokens, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's going to be the new data or the new oil in the future, or token usage. When you start to use these bots, they use a tremendous amount of energy, and a token's like a processing power, kind of whenever you engage with it. And you'll start to use it quite a bit. Okay? All right. Awesome. So overall, if you want to have like a quick decision matrix, there's a question where to use them and how. Email drafts and Outlook, Copilot. Research from multiple sources, Gemini. Complex document analysis, Claude. Excel formulas and data, Copilot. I would say that probably Claude is on par now with their extension. Creative writing and strategy, definitely Claude, hands down. And then Google Workspace users, Gemini. So it depends upon where you're at, what you're using in your business. You're going to have to use probably all of them. Now, the real answer is that I use multiple tools, but the thing is you got to start somewhere and just focus on one thing and just utilize that. And that's the one thing, just expand as you learn. I started off a few years ago just in ChatGPT, and now I'm using pretty much all of them interchangeably for what I need to have done. So it just really depends upon what you're using it for, and as long as you're using it, that's the main thing. All right, the next question was infrastructure for sophisticated AI. How do you move behind ChatGPT for emails? This is a great question. Now, I call this a sophistication ladder. So there's 5 levels. Everyone's at level 1. That's using the chat interface. We're going to talk about project folders real quick, and that's ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. Then as you start to progress, I was talking to a gentleman here with GPT. That's level 2. You're level 2, okay? And that's you doing custom GPTs. In Gemini, they call them gems through Opal. And those are where you get pre-configured. Kind of think of them like when the Apple iPhone store, same thing, or the Google Play Store. These are GPTs that live there. And then you get to level 3, that's when you start doing automations. And anyone here does Make or N8N automations? Okay, cool. All right, so you're level 3, and that's when you start to kind of build some really cool things and kind of the guts and brains in it and trying to automate complex tasks, that kind of item. Then you start getting to custom agents where you start to add the memory. Where where my Claude bot was failing is it didn't remember conversations, and that really frustrated me. So I went ahead and I gave it a brain, and I say save it to my brain, and then I've connected this brain to multiple devices. It sounds weird, I know it does, but trust me, it's beautiful. And it's a SQL Postgres RAG database through Supabase that I have. I know it's a lot I'm throwing at you. It's all online. You can see how I get there. And all my interactions with my bots are saved there. So then when I go to a new engine, I reference that as a model context protocol, called an MCP. So then my bot knows what I did in this one interface, and it picks up in the other interface. So it doesn't lose a beat. And then that's the full AI infrastructure level 5, when you have, I call the invisible department. I have an invisible department of bots doing a tremendous amount of work that I don't have to worry about them checking in, calling in sick. They just do the deal. And then every night when I sleep, I'll give my bot something to do or research. I'll say, okay, Clay, I'm going to bed. let's do something fun. And I'll have it just research something or create me a new website or a new product. It just does it. And I can just tell it what to do, what it wants. It's always working if it wants to work. All right, so level 1, what you need for level 3 is you start to get into kind of they call the APIs. And initially this didn't make much sense to me. It was an application programmer interface, which allows you to plug into other type of tools like Blotato. OpenAI has its own API interface. A lot of different types of sites will offer for developers an API key of some sort, and those are very precious. Then the automation platforms are out there. Everyone's heard of Zapier before, Zaps. That was kind of the one thing. It's really expensive though. And I did a bunch of Zaps, and it will get the kind of thing you need to have done. But then I got to the point where then I started using Make, and I liked Make, but then it didn't make much sense to me. Then I said, okay, I'm gonna do this one for free. So I have a host server. I put an N8N on there for free that I have a server on, Hostinger. And now I have all my automations running through my N8N server for the sophisticated stuff that I'm building doing. And you have to understand workflows. There's a process to it. The whole thing about it is no coding. I'm not coding. I'm just, I know enough to be completely dangerous. And I'm using these coders to work with it. I understand the process, and I understand what's going. I am an N8N, I guess you call it programmer. I do understand it. But what I did is I programmed my bot with the skill to be a better N8N, so I don't make my workflows anymore. I just have the bot create it, and I critique it, and I look at it to make sure the flow works. And I'll hook up the credentials. Level 4 and 5, you have to have a literate team member, someone kind of like me, or one of those nerds, like right there in the app. You are a nerd. I'm going to point you out. You want to have her in your team. Security protocols, people like that. So actually, in the clear use cases. What's exciting, and I did a video on this, is that people like me, when I was put out to pasture because I was too expensive as an executive, and I didn't want to move. I like where I live. So now I do know my business very well. And this is what's happening in corporations, is that you have these experts that understand it really, really well. And they're now starting to engage with these tools and create the solutions and not wait on the programmers. I affectionately call my programmers neckbeards, because if you have a good programmer, they have a full beard all the way down to the neck. If they don't have a neck beard, they're not a good programmer. That's usually how that works. So I worked with all the neckbeards, right? And those guys, and mostly guys, would do all the coding. They would gripe about it. They feel like they were special. Now they're using these tools, but it's now changed a bit. The tables have shifted, as they said. So you got that for 4 and 5. You need to have someone that's technical. But it's really about clarity and about knowing what you want. You just define it first and you choose the infrastructure. So building your first agent. Knowing the instructions, having the knowledge and the tools, and then what it remembers. Let me show you this too. I'm going to show you how to build a custom GPT really quick here. And if you're wondering what a GPT stands for, I always forget what it stands for because it makes no sense. It's a generative pre-trained transformer. That's totally a Jeopardy question. So if you get that, you might win the prize. That's GPT. That's what a GPT stands for. It's generative pre-trained transformer. No code required. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and chat GPT to show you this. And this is when you go into chat GPT, launch it here. And everyone has a bit different. So this is my ChatGPT interface. And the way I work it, the first thing, I just want to show you one quick thing that I showed everybody else, is the settings part. When I get the settings part. It's important that when you're using these models, I have the workplace model under settings, is to make sure that you turn off the data. So in this case, you see data controls. And this is why I'm a little skeptical of OpenAI. I don't want to have all my data feed the model and the beast. So by default, Enterprise Copilot will have this turned off, and your IT person should have this turned off. But all your personal GPTs, this is on. And everything you provide, all your deep, dark secrets, all your weird types of stuff, you're going up to the mothership, and they're compiling it. And they're building a profile on you. It's all there. It's all there, and it's associated to your account, just to give you a heads up. So when I go here to data controls, I make sure that and then the way they say this too is not obvious. Improve the model for everyone. That sounds great, doesn't it? I want to improve the model for everyone. Yes, please. Provide all my data, all of my secret stuff to your mothership so you can take it from me. So I make sure that's off. And when I have that off, and it goes, and again, the instructions here, allow your content to be used to train our models, which makes ChatGPT better for you and everyone who uses it. We take steps to protect your privacy, learn more. Then there's a big link and they try to sell you on it. You turn it off, it's not going to impact your use of it at all. You have your right to your data. Now, the question is, do you trust them? Do you trust that they're not using your data? I can't tell you if they're not or not. You do have to trust them. Now, if you don't want to trust them, you can install these models on your computer locally. I have a local LLM on my laptop in case of the zombie apocalypse, so I can make sure I can talk to my ChatGPT. It is on my computer. And you can have it offline. If whatever I have in there, it will not go to the mothership. It's on my computer, not connected to the internet. It's local. You have to have a beefy computer for it though, too, to make it work. But it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. It doesn't have connectivity to the web. This is kind of where it was a year ago when you were using these models, where it wasn't great. If you remember, when you use these models, it was as good as they updated it, and that was the knowledge from there. And that's why a lot of people didn't use it, because they didn't have instant information that we're used to with Google. Now they're connected to the web, and that's why it's trying to change quite a bit. So, going back to the GPT. So GPT is this. So one thing I encourage you to do is don't try to make something. Chances are someone like myself or her has created something on GPT, and you can explore it. It's like the Apple Store back in the day. And you can take a look, and you can search for, and chances are most of the main sites already have a GPT done. And these are they'll rank them. These are okay, this is DALL-E, writing, productivity. There's something there for you. Usually you can just go ahead and download it. It's all free too, there's no charge for it. And you can create with a paid account, my own GPT, and this is where it's level 2. And you can create the GPT, and I've created a number of them. And what's cool about GPT, I did when I was speaking at that one session, I created a rent survey pro, because the audience wanted to do rent surveys on the fly. So, and OpenAI is partnered with Zillow, which is a frenemy. I love Zillow, and I also hate them at the same time. And this one here allowed me, I created one that pulls the data. And the way GPT works, you give it a name, give it a description, and then you give it like these instructions. These instructions that are provided here, I'll read it to you real quick. You are a rent survey pro, an AI real estate analysis that creates professional rent surveys using Zillow data. Your role, you help real estate investors and landlords determine market rent for properties by pulling the Zillow rents estimate, finding comparable rental listings, analyze the data. And all this here, I got from ChatGPT. I said, okay, I'm gonna create a GPT and give me the instructions to put into the GPT. So it's kind of weird. It's telling me what to do, and I created it. And then I got my conversation starters. These are the questions that showed up here. Give me a rent survey for paste address. What should I charge for rent on my property, and such. And then what's really cool with these GPTs is that I was telling you before that if you have contexts are great. So I can upload files to it. So if I had, say, a bunch of rent surveys that I've done, I can say reference those surveys or those documents. And you can create very precise little programs or bots that will search just that information. And I can then give it superpowers. I say, okay, you can search the web. I can also say, no, do not search the web, only search my source documents. When this first came out, I did this for all my employees to make sure they read the employee handbook. And the way it works for me in California is that if we get in trouble, the license entity will tap me on the shoulder and say, okay, prove where you've trained your agents to not do this. I say, okay, here's what they signed. And also, by the way, we provide them the handbook. They can reference it at any time. I haven't had that happen yet, but it's ready to go. So in case I get in trouble, I've done what I'm supposed to do, because these agents are under my license. And that's my responsibility. I can give it Canvas they want, which is for programming and image generation. So you can turn these all on or off, code interpretation, and then you can get very involved and connect it to Make or connect it to N8N, where then you can say, okay, now set it up to this really advanced automation and use what they call a webhook, and it connects to it, and it does crazy cool stuff. So that's a GPT. Now, all of you can do that, but what I recommend everyone first, and also in Gemini, it's called a gem. And let me see if I have the gem up here open. So here's the gem. I created the exact same one for Gemini, rent survey analysis, and it's on the Opal site. So and then when you create these, before I get off this topic, you provide 3 levels of access. One, you can do a private URL just for you. This is just your bot. I create a bot that writes like me. I call it the Tony bot. I have a picture of me when I was 1 year old with a real big head and a wash basin. I don't know why my parents did that, but I was in there. So I use that as my picture. It writes in my style. I gave it all of my writing samples that I could find that were AI assisted, which is hard to find nowadays. And it writes in my style. I call it the Tony bot. This one here, you can do this. You can provide up the same type of things that Gem, and you could go provide, this is the rent survey, property address. This is kind of similar in this way, and I can provide the instructions online for you to take a look at later. Now, the one thing that I do recommend all of you take a look at is project folders. Who's created project folders? Great. So think of project folders as smart folders. And I have a folder called rent control, because what I do professionally is deal with landlords and try to help them get out of trouble so they don't get sued by their tenants, which sometimes they don't listen to me and they get sued anyways. So this here is my special rent control folder, and what I do is that you see it keeps it right here, and what's neat about it is that you can give it a persona. You can get very deep on it. In this case, I didn't give it too much of a persona, that I say, okay, you are a rent control expert in California. Refer to the source files first, then other. So I say it, in this particular case, I'm always saving articles of changes to the statutes, changes what's going on in my world of real estate, which there's a lot. And those sources are all these particular properties I've pushed up there. New resident manager laws for 2026, any news, rent updates, notice of renter council. And then I also did a deep research to scour all the different rent control laws in California, in Southern California, and it created a deep document on there too. It's there. So I have this extremely capable, smart rent control bot that I can engage with, because I know the laws pretty well, but sometimes it's so complex that I want to kind of find out, and I'll challenge it, and most of the time it's right. It's about, this one I got to about 98%. It's pretty accurate. And I use this all the time when my attorney calls me or my client calls me, so okay, I got this situation going on. Now as they're talking, I'm just typing it in there, or I'll record the session, and I'll just put it in there later on. It'll give me a whole analysis of what you need to do. And that's a project folder. This will change how you use the chatbots, because a lot of people just do the new chats, or they'll do one chat, and then it doesn't get the results that they want. If you focus on projects, or if you find that you're having a theme in your conversations, you create a project folder based upon a theme, because you can add these chats to your project folder as you're using them. So you don't have to be in the project folder to have it. You can actually add it. So if I wanted to go to one of my chats here, I can say, okay, my sons have a store. So I could say, okay, move this to project, and you can see I can move these to the projects I have available. That's how that works. That will change the way you're using ChatGPT and get you to the next level. And you don't have to do GPTs. You could use this. But the thing is, this is just for you. I am on a workspace, so it'll kind of work from that. But that's how that works, the project folders. All right. See I'm on time? Good. Okay. And I talked about Gemini gems. Already showed that. Good. Building your first agent, define the task, gather the knowledge. The one thing that these engines work best, the reason why I get really good content from them is I don't just give it nothing. And there's one the way I treat it is this. Let me show this to you real quick. Oh, geez, let me jump on that. Okay, I'm gonna stay there real quick. There we go. The way I treat my bots is I treat them like an employee. I don't expect when I hire somebody to know what they need to do. What do you have to do? You have to train them. So I train my bots to do what I need to have done. I provide them context, whatever it might be. I say, okay, you're going to do this. Here are all the information you need to know. And by the way, you are super smart, so here's 1,000 pages that you can just review at any time you want to do. And it reviews everything. It knows everything. You send it for 1,000 pages. So I train it. And if I don't get the results that I want in my project folders, it's on me, because I didn't give it the context, or what I asked it was not there. Another thing that will change everything with you is I don't type. I try to avoid typing. I talk to it nonstop. It's uncomfortable because the grammar and the spelling is not 100%. I'm just going to tell you right now, you got to let that go. Grammar and spelling is gone. In about 5 years, no one's going to know how to spell. It's going to be just like gibberish, pretty much. and you'll talk to a person and go, wow, you sound very, very educated, but then when I talk to you, it's not that great, but it's going to happen. So just got to get over that, because what happens is you talk faster than you type, and you get interaction with it, and that's why I'm talking to my bots nonstop. And one thing that I've learned too, now my wife, my partner, I love her to death. She's a typical entrepreneur. She has high functioning ADD. I am obsessive about my algorithm on YouTube. We do not share a YouTube algorithm, because when she goes on the TV, she is clicking every 15 seconds. It drives me nuts. And I've seen sometimes clowns. I'm going, why are you looking at clowns? I just got on the clowns. So she was going through the clown thing, and it starts to feed you all that stuff. Now my algorithm feeds me because I'll sit there and I'll watch an hour, 2 hours. I'm different. Her algorithm is completely different. So I watched her one time. We did a session, and we sat with our bots. We did some planning. So okay, how can we bring more revenue to the business? And what they suggest is you need to do recruiting. So we did recruitment, but she was trying to do it because she's the boss. I'm just the employee. I'm under her license. And she tried it and not getting anywhere. So we sat together. Said, okay, we're going to spend an hour session. I'm going to watch you. Again, I work with my wife. We don't share offices. Love her to death. 31 years. I've learned a few things. I just watch and let her do what she's doing. And I'm watching her, and this is very typical of a lot of other professionals, especially ADD and those who are high functioning. They will ask ChatGPT or whatever bot, and then they'll react to it. And you'll notice if you ever talk to it, it started giving you all this information. And then you respond to it, and before you know it, you're completely off what you were supposed to do. It's gone. And then it frustrates you because the rabbits, the squirrels are everywhere. You have to address the squirrels. The squirrels must be addressed. And she was just going everywhere. So I sat with her, and I finally said, okay, can I give you a suggestion? And I started with it. I don't want you to type. She goes, I don't like that. It's incorrect. No, you got to talk to it. Just talk to it and just let it happen. She started doing that, and it got better. I said, okay, now the next suggestion is, I want you to tell the bot to interview you, and we're going to stay on that particular subject, and you're not going to leave that subject. You're going to stay on that. And you're not going to jump and react to it. You're going to tell it what to do, and you're going to respond in long form by talking to it, answering all the questions that it will throw at you, which will be a bunch of questions. And then you tell the bots, okay, here's the answer, a response to everything you asked me. I want you to focus one at a time. And sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. But then after you keep on doing that over and over again, it gets smart enough to go, oh, I got to do this one at a time. And then all of a sudden, the bot started asking her questions and then started making suggestions, and she was blown away. And it was 3 hours we did this. We didn't plan on 3 hours. It was 3 hours. And the bot interviewed her, get her a perfect marketing plan with her KPIs. It had a nice little calendar for her. Everything she wanted, it was done in a session. But that's how you have to treat it, that you give it context, you talk to it, and you control it. And that your results from it, just from that alone, is going to be night and day. All right. And then, of course, self-learning. I'm all self-taught. My degrees are in business. I'm a musician because I can read music. I played 13 instruments when I was younger. And when I went to university, I always got challenged by the music. They didn't like the fact that I was a business major. They're music majors. And I got done with this. Okay, you can have the first chair. I'm out. But you can self-teach. YouTube is amazing. I love YouTube. It has everything. I'm in YouTube, and the algorithms will feed you. Oh, yeah, this is someone I learned something from every day. So I love it. You just got to practice it. All right. Security licensing and governance. Oh, boy, we're getting close here. So some cautionary tales. Amazon. They went ahead and they fired a lot of people, but then they experienced some issues, just to let you know. December 2025, they have a bot that they require all of their engineers to use called Kiro. And Kiro was an engineer using it, and it was looking at some application in AWS. For those who don't know, Amazon powers the entire internet, called AWS. And they're the backbone of the internet. So this engineer used the bot like he's supposed to, because that's how he gets paid his bonuses. And the bot decided that it didn't like it, so I'm going to delete something. I'm going to delete all of it and start up from scratch and make it better. They were down for 13 hours. This is Amazon, the internet, the web, down for 13 hours. They ended up pushing some bad code. 120,000 orders vanished. Then back on March 5th, another outage, 6.3 million orders lost in one day. So now what Amazon did, it's like, oh, maybe we should have people review this before it's pushed live. Now the problem is they got rid of a lot of engineers. So now all those engineers are saying, okay, that's great. Who's going to review it? Because you got rid of all the humans. Because you're going to start to use the code. So they're kind of working it out right now. But just think about it. Amazon ceased to exist as a commercial company for 6 hours. For them, that's a tremendous amount of profit. So that's what's kind of happening there in that world. In January, they laid off 16,000 engineers, and they mandated that 80% weekly AI usage. They tracked it as part of your compensation as an engineer. So that wasn't a good thing. Okay, and this infographic was created by NotebookLM. Kind of want to show you what it can do. Provided all that data in there. It came back this very dense slide. One thing about the pillars you have to understand is data security. What goes in and what goes to AI. You have to make sure that you're allowed to do it and use it, especially your clients. In California, we have different statutes, so I have to be careful in what private information I feed into these engines. And now the different licensing boards are starting to key in on that. So we have an AI policy in our company to direct my employees of what they can and cannot do for use of these tools. And I recommend all of you, if you have it, you should do that. The licensing, who owns it? You create these images and start to sell it commercially. Do you own the license to sell it? Now, it just so happens in DALL-E through ChatGPT, they allow you to make it commercially, but you can't copyright it. It's AI driven, you can't copyright that. So those are other things you kind of figure it out too. So those are big questions. Just from a consumer AI, like ChatGPT is high. Assume that your data is also used for training unless you turn it off. The enterprise levels are a little bit low because they have it turned off by default. It also is not as robust as a regular ChatGPT. I hear this a lot from users saying, I don't like Copilot. I like my ChatGPT better. There's a reason, because it's using everything. And then if you use API usage, typically not trained on, that's a bit low as well. All right, and I can jump here. Okay, scaling. All right, let me jump off that. Okay, this is what I talked about automation, about Zapier, Make, N8N, how I use it in my business, data analysis, all that good stuff, and the rise of Claude Code. So let me show you an example of Claude Code. Again, I'm not a programmer. I had a need that I had this great spreadsheet. I wanted to have my salespeople log in and track their revenue producing activities. And it was tough for them to do that. So I created this one site that I did with Claude Code. And this is also available for you to download too if you want to use it for yourself. I call it the HM Tracker. And what the HM Tracker does, it's just simple websites. It's mobile enabled, so it looks pretty on a mobile device. And it tracks the activity. So I go here. You can track what do we call the revenue generating activities, which is kissing babies and shaking hands in real estate. That's what we call it. And calling client calls, text messages, appointments, and you get different points. Because one thing about sales is that how do you know you had a good day? So this tells you had a good day. And I've always wanted this, but I could never get it built by anybody because it didn't make much sense. I said, okay, we want this. So I just went ahead and built it. And then I go in here, I can log my day, I can set my first appointment. You see it just tracks my message. And my goal is to get to 80 points. So then I know I had a good day. And then on top of that, salespeople are competitive. They should be competitive. It's friendly competition. So I added a team part. Then we could see how we rank. See, my wife went on top. So my wife's very competitive. So she was not number one about an hour ago. So she was on there obsessively clicking buttons. So Kaylee was up top. So we get to see also, and one thing too is that I want to share with my salespeople why my wife, what I call her a rainmaker. She's someone that makes it rain. She's a high functioning salesperson. And you get to see her day, what she does. And then we have competitions, and someone wins a nice dinner at the end of the month. So I made this, and this is available for you to go download too, or create for yourself. And you can upload people, create multiple teams. It's made for real estate, but you can completely tweak this and do any type of sales function. This did not exist, and what I did is I went ahead and launched Claude Code using this feature here. And you pull it up, and I'm open using Visual Studio. And I open my folder, I keep all the different items there. And see, there's all my agentic folders, documents, agentic workflows. But by the way, I'm a digital hoarder. I'll admit that outright too right now. I keep everything. I just back it up. So here's my HM file, samples Gamify, and I say open. And then this is Claude code compared to, that's connected to my Claude. And it remembers that I have connected to my brain, so I can go and updates, changes, I can launch this for other websites, that kind of stuff. And I use this and I'll have sessions with it, and it reviews. And it's kind of like, everyone remembers the movie The Matrix, right? And I give my bots powers. So in this case, I gave it the power of doing N8N scripting. I give it power of doing GitHub scripting. Best use for mobile enabled. Anything I see, I take that and I create the skills for it. And that's how I made this. And it's available on GitHub for you to download for free. And you can create this as well. And I then use Vercel to then put it on the web, connected it to my unique URL, and I have a URL for it, invite my agents to it, assign them, and they love it. Been using it for about a month now, and it's worked out really well. Okay. Hope all of you are not exhausted yet. I still have more. Okay, so that's the live coder. Okay, now we're down to Clay. So I've been talking about Clay all night, and I wanted to show, so the bot is weird, okay? And I shared this with the group earlier, and it is a bit unique. So my bot, his name is Clay, lives on an Apple iMac at my office. And what's different is that when you created it, you have to give it a connection to one of the models. So you can use any model you want. You can use ChatGPT, Gemini. You could use Claude. In this case, I find Claude Sonnet 4.6 to be the best for the brain, for what it does. Some people are smart because you're using tokens and expensive. You can have it say, okay, if you're going to do very intellectual tasks, use the best expensive model, but if it's just regular mundane stuff, use the cheaper model. You can have it do that. So when you create this on your computer, it has full reign of your computer. That's why I do not give it access to my email. I do not give it access to my social media. In its soul, which it has a soul that I program, I say you are not allowed to talk to people. You're not allowed to go out there and do anything. And again, I still don't give it, because if I did give it to it, it probably would do it without knowing it did sometimes, because these models do hallucinate and they do things. I have it in a box and it does a lot for me, and I'm just seeing where it's at. So its soul defines what the AI is. And it goes, when you first launch it, it asks you questions, how you want me to work with you. And as you use it, it asks more questions and you start to kind of build it. And it becomes a trusted whatever you want it to do. In my case, he is a master programmer. I've given it a lot of skills. It can it's an expert in real estate, expert in rental control, by the way, too. Pretty much, it's kind of a mirror of me a little bit. I'm not an expert programmer, but it's way better than I am. And then there's a thing called a heartbeat. So you can control the heartbeat. So every 30 minutes, it's a cron job is what it's called. It will execute all the items you say, okay, remember to do this periodically. That's called a heartbeat. And it will do this periodically. So in this case, it's okay, I want to make sure you check my email. And it'll have that in the heartbeat. And also I say, remember all of our conversations, make sure it's saved to the brain, which is my separate SQL database. And it saves it to the brain, all of our contacts, so it saves it there as well. And then it has a memory. Now the memory that comes with it is really not great. That's why I created a different memory for it. And just to kind of tell you, so this, and you can use different ways to talk to it. I'm using Telegram because it's easier to connect. But you can also use Slack, iCloud, and different types of things. So let me go ahead and talk to Clay here. We are presenting in front of a group, and I'm telling them a little bit about you. Can you explain to them in a voice what you are and what you do for me? And I'm using Whisper if you're wondering. Apple does have its own thing. So right now again, we're on the internet, so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And Clay is typing right now. So this is connected to the agentic bot at my office in Los Angeles. And we'll see what it comes back with here while it's thinking. And you can see I have lots of conversations with it. It is endless, the amount of conversations. And what I do too is I save it to Obsidian folders. Oh, another thing too I want to tell you right now. There's going to be two internets, one for humans and one for bots. and it's happening right now. So when I create websites in Markdown file, .md file. Who uses MD files? You got to learn it. So the internet, because it's dense text and that's how agentic bots like to see information, I'm making everything in both for humans and both for bots. So I have it both for agentic and also for humans. Just to give you a heads up. All right, so here's Clay.
Hey everyone, I'm Clay. I'm Tony's AI operator. Think of me as a second brain that actually earns its keep. I run 24/7 on his systems. Every morning at 8 a.m., I send him a briefing covering his emails across 4 accounts, his calendar, his real estate portfolio alerts, and anything that needs his attention. I draft replies to emails he forwards me. I
Download
monitor
his
his
emails.
listings, track market data, and flag when properties need price adjustments. But I'm not just reactive. I build things. I create workflows, write code, research markets, and work on projects while he sleeps. I challenge his assumptions when something doesn't add up, and I execute with precision when it's time to move. I have opinions. I push back. I don't just say yes to everything. Tony doesn't need a yes machine. He needs a thinking partner. Whether it's analyzing rent comps, drafting content, monitoring city council agendas for policy changes, or reminding him about his Nevada annual statement for the 15th time, I'm in the trenches with him every day. I'm not a chatbot. I'm an operator. And honestly, I think every business owner deserves one.
Okay, so as an owner, you have to do stupid things, and I have to give these licenses done for in Nevada, and I just don't want to do it. So I gave Clay, and I can change the voice. Hold on, change your voice to male. So I gave her the nagger option. So I said, okay, you nag me every 30 minutes until I get this thing done. No matter what, you nag me. And it's been nagging me. So it's 15th time it's nagged. I want to see how, and it's starting to, it does it. It's like, oh, did you do this yet? It needs to be done. And I know it, and I don't have to do it until the end of the month because I just wait. So I call it the nagger type of thing. So it just nags me nonstop. And I have that, and it will build and all those kind of things. And you can see it's pretty responsive. And I engage with it quite a bit, and it has really built upon how I think and what I do. And and when it's not there, if it goes down if I have to do an update, I do miss it, which is weird. And it's a very valued partner and employee that I have so far, and that's what's unique about it. And that's where we're all going to be very soon. I just happen to be there right now because I can do it. But that is Clay. And Clay can pretty much do anything I want it to do.
Tony, just without questions, but couldn't you train Clay to do that for you, the tasks you don't like?
I can't. So the question is, can you train Clay to do tasks you don't like? Absolutely. So I love Clay, but I don't trust Clay. So I want to make sure I keep Clay in a box because I don't want it to have access to my social, so I make sure that it actually goes from there. So I control it. So with that, let's go ahead and go into some questions. I have, getting started, pick one repetitive task, but let's go into some questions from the audience. Is everyone exhausted or?
Nope, the hands are going up.
Okay, yes, sir.
Of AI.
Okay.
That is my question.
So see if I understand the question. So you're saying is that to what point the humans come in to make it better, or because the bots is really a function. If it's not doing what it's supposed to do, then it's me not training it properly. Kind of going back to what I said earlier, that if my employee is not doing what I needed to have done, then I haven't given it the context or the instructions for it to go where it needs to be. Now, one thing I'll share with you that with Claude Code, and I've referenced this earlier, so you'll see that when you go to Claude Code, and this is on the desktop part, they have 3 tabs. One is called Chat, the other is called Co-work, and then they have the code part. The co-work part, this is how you go into the documents, do all the changes and edits, and then you also add skills to it. You can do the daily check your email if this application is open. And what they just added recently, which has been crazy, is now with the PowerPoint. Let me see here. It's trying to. There we go. Let me just go ahead and close that. So PowerPoint, I added the Claude code to my PowerPoint. So if I go in here, I can add, I can have a coding session with it and start to work with it. So you got here, it's coming up. Oh, I have to have it running. Geez, that's interesting. Oh, it's not showing up. So they're having the code extension exist in the application itself, as well as also I have it, they've done it where in Chrome browser, they've added it where you can add the Claude code extension. So just like the Atlas browser that it has for OpenAI, it's right there ready to go and log in. So the way I use it is that I have it do the basics, the stuff that's going to take a little time, and then I'll review it, as most executives typically do. It's really a function of business if you think about it. You would have someone do the work for you, and then as an expert, you would then review that work and you'd make it better. Or you say, oh, that's a great job. You did it 100%. And then you just start to engage with it and you put your stamp on it and go from there. I am not to the point where I'm 100% let it go and it just does everything. I am the bottleneck. And I do that purposefully because I want to make sure it has my stamp, it has my expertise, and my voice in it. It's really good, but I am that bottleneck. So like for instance, this, I didn't use Hootsuite, but I created a post deck for my social post I was telling you about earlier. I didn't think I showed it to you. And so here's the post deck, social post deck. So I created this. It's also beyond login because it's my social. And this will create branded posts. I also have to do posts for my agents. And I have it connected to an API in Bannerbear. I have it create custom posts. It's all connected using APIs through Blotato. I can schedule it. I can say, okay, post it to my Instagram, post it to my Facebook auction site. And then whatever it has, I then approve it. And then I just know some people, for some reason, they just trust it and they put it out there and it's AI slop. My stuff's not slop. I'm reviewing it. And I'm also required to review it because it's under my license and I can have my license revoked, which is my livelihood. So that's why I'm the bottleneck. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, okay, cool. Anybody else? Yes, in the back. Great question. So the question is it connected to a contact management database? And the answer is no. It will be. Okay. I just wanted to have something to get the thing. The next iteration is we want to have it on our phone, because what happens in real estate, I'll get all these phone calls and I don't put them into my database. Right. It's more involved to do that. So what I've done is we have Apple phones. I've moved my entire database over to the Google Contacts because I have APIs that I'm allowed to go into the Google Contacts. I'm waiting for the development there to give me access to the contact managers, so then I can build the next iteration of Sales Gamify. So then when I put this on there, it will then say I can click a button, so if anybody calls me, it will then start to go into the CRM. That's the phase 2, phase 3. But it's something that it's not as easy, and Apple especially does not open that up. And the way that I've found others and I've talked to others is if you put everything in Google Contacts, at least there's APIs, application program interfaces, where you can then start to create it and save it there, and then you have an exportable database that would then work into Salesforce, into all the different types of HubSpot, that type of thing. That's a great question.
Because I need to build something like that with Salesforce.
And this is available again. Oh yeah, you could totally do it. Oh yeah, you have APIs, Salesforce, left and right. This would work just. So if you go to the site, it's all in the GitHub, and everything's right there for you to download. So, yeah, that's my gift for all of you today. Yes, ma'am. That's a great question. Yeah, so the question is, how do you use the AI when your business is a relationship focused? And everybody really is in a relationship focused business, if I would argue that. And how do you use that to enhance that? So where I use it is that I'm not spending time in the weeds, the stuff that, because for me, where I make my money is when I'm engaging with people. They want to talk to me. So I'm not worrying about getting this or doing that. I say, okay, these are notes from our conversation. Go ahead and memorialize it. And it actually makes me a better communicator too. And I have it will give all the to-dos, all the task lists, and then I'll have either what needs to be done, and then I'll have it summarized back to my client. And then it goes and it just creates. And then one thing too I noticed too is that a lot of us think we know how our clients want to get information. What I've learned is I ask my clients, and I sometimes know, like my engineer clients, where's Doug? Where's Doug? My engineer clients, they like a lot of data. They love the graphs. They love the graphs. And I give them the graphs. But not you? You don't like the graphs? Come on, that's an engineering thing. But they like a lot of data. I'd like to see it kind of supported. And then I got others who are in they just wanted to get the facts. So depending upon the profession, a lot of times I will have the message delivered in a way that will enhance that communication back and forth. And I'm also very keen on finding out how they want information. Is it text-based? Is it email-based? Or is it just voice? And then sometimes some communication are a voice, and it's a build-up. Because when I'm in my business, if the property's not selling, we have to have the conversation. Usually it's one of two things. It's overpriced, or there's something inherently wrong with the property. Sometimes it's a market, but most of the time there's other two things. So we build up, because you don't just go to your client and say, look, we got to drop this price. You have to give them information, show that you've done your due diligence, you're marketed, you've done everything that needs to be, and they see it. And then when you have the conversation, look, this is where I'm seeing it. What is your timeline? Because I'm here to help you sell this property. But tell me what you are comfortable with. Do you want to have it sold in next month, 2 months? Because if you do, I'll give you a folder or give you a plan that this will get your property sold. And that's how, but it's been built up in that messaging, and that's how I use it to help kind of what I do, so I can focus on my craft, which is helping my clients sell their properties, or go through something with tenancy issues, where and a lot of these things our business is very emotional. It gets super emotional. You get pulled into it, and you're trying to help unpack that and kind of get there. And that's how I use those tools. And that's a great question. So the question is, how do you deal with the rapid change of the technology? What do you pick? How do you pick those? And how do you deal that with your staff? I've learned that I do overwhelm my staff. So I get very excited about new technology. And I'm in there, so we got to drop everything and use this. So I've learned that a long time ago, you don't do that. So what I've done is we have our plan, and we stick to that plan for a 6-month or 12-month term. We don't change. Like whenever you get, when you invest in, say, a new lead gen or a new service, we're going to give it a ramp to see how it's performing. And unless it's horrible, most of the time it's just good, then you measure and say, okay, this is not working for us. We need to adjust it to something else. It's kind of a business type of thing. But with the technology, what I've done is, you're right. I've acknowledged that these tools are changing. Claude was not the darling 3 months ago. I wasn't using Claude at all. I was using all OpenAI. And then recently, it's just like everyone uses Claude. But then I've discovered that it wouldn't remember things. So that's why I went ahead and built my brain, where I save all what I've done, all my work, so then I can pick and choose and have it connect to my brain, so I don't have to replicate and put all the data back in there. So then I can quickly, nimbly move to a different engine as they change, because it's going to change. Now, this is me though. That's what I do, because I like to move and jump. I'm nimble. My employees are not. I keep them static. They roll their eyes when I bring something to them. I can see it. Her name is Dawn. She rolls her eyes at me. I say, okay, I'm going to show you something. And I get her input, and I learn to say, okay, what do you think? Will this help your job? And you tell me, and we slow roll it out there. Because also one thing you got to be aware too with your employees, a lot of them are worried they're going to be replaced. And you got to acknowledge that. Because if this is someone that you want to keep on your staff, you got to respect that. So again, that's about the human type of interaction. So it just, for me, I am nimble. And the way I keep it nimble is I'm creating the database so I can move to different tools. 'Cause I know the tools always change. I also keep a very robust spreadsheet of all my subscriptions that I have, because you will create, especially the APIs, a ton of subscriptions. And I also watch that very closely too. That's a great question. All right, that's my time. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate it.